Hello and good day. Please find this broadcast well, everyone. I'd like to ask if it's alright. Someone could let me know if the levels sound okay. And what that means is if you can hear the sound of my voice, and it's not super duper crunchy, you could drop in the chat somewhere. Sounds good. That would give me enough to move forward. Our sharing today is going to be about an hour. It is going to be recorded, so I'm wanting to make sure that we get off on the correct foot, so they say. So I'm going to stand by here and work on a couple settings until I receive a ping that says that we're good to move forward, because at that point in time, we will. So dialing in this focus piece here. Right about there looks good. Alright. And we are now up and rolling. Alright. Thank you for that commented message. My name is Richie. I would hope that you know that by now, seeing as you're receiving this from a few places that, well, quite frankly, they have my name on it. So, if you're receiving this, that means that one of my messages or one of my little video pieces made it to you. Whether it's an interview from really the West Coast or the East Coast or overseas. If it's a discussion about power and audio engineering from many years ago, that was with John Bravo. If it's a recent discussion about nostalgia and the power of awareness, that may likely have been with Truthseeker at truthseekermusic.com. If it's about heady things, starseeds, crystals, and perhaps the magic of the seasons, that would be from Man of Letters, Keith, who's got a lot of cool projects going on himself. If it's about discerning and discovering where the power of your belief comes from, that may have been with the Gothic Mystic. So there's a few others peppered in there that I won't dive into too deep, but I would like to take this moment and breathe. We can allow this space and digital place to represent or represent a kind of awareness. So no matter where you are, no matter what you're up to, please take a second and breathe. That's it. Breathing's all it takes to make the hugest of changes. So after you've given yourself a chance to breathe, let's go ahead and really identify what today is. Well, today, if you're looking, what is it, in that direction? You see there's a moon. And that moon's sort of a living mass of energy. And so up to my left, or as the viewer to your right, there's the idea of the full moon that we're just on the eve of. Our way of measuring as a society is based mostly on solar tides and solar measurements. Now, we keep awareness of lunar, of course. Not the same as solar, but a different kind of awareness. You got the vineyards with grapes that harvest their grapes on the full moon because they know, for whatever reason, the grapes taste sweeter when the water is higher from the moon's gravity, rather than the new moon, when the grapes would taste different because the water and moisture are in the roots rather than in the fruits. The world is a very unusual place in case this is new for you. I have a feeling everyone's experienced their own oddities. We all have our own days. Through the shared time, which some could say are nights, we all do the same thing. We all sleep. And if you sleep, you don't always dream. But some of us that sleep, we do dream. What you want to do with your life. Many people say what they want to do with their life came from their dreams. What you want to do with your life is decided by your waking mind. That waking mind requires focus. It requires balance. It requires patience. There's an unusual type of integration that can happen. When things don't necessarily pan out the way that you think they should, you have the opportunity to grow in ways that you never thought you could. Really, little bud? Hi. That's Kisan, the kitty cat. He's decided he has to share something right now. Come on, bud. You got something to say? Come here. Come here, one. Oh, hi. Oh. Hi, yes. Oh, okay. Yep, go ahead. There you go. Shoulder cats, huh? Oh, we are over here. Hey, dude. There you go, little bud. We're all creatures, really. I mean, yeah, we're humans and we've got, thumbs and we do stuff. And we build things and we spend money and we use electricity, but we're still creatures. We're still animals. And the animal nature is something that a lot of individuals try to suppress or ignore or make taboo or don't really want to acknowledge. Because that primal primitive energy is kind of wild. The wildness would preclude that there's some kind of tameness. And that would be a myth or a legend. Ooh, I'm seeing some buffer lag on my side. Super chunky and clunky. Well, I'm glad I'm taking the time to do this test recording to see what I can do. It says, consider turning these to this. I'll see if I can change this live and we'll get some kind of difference. No, it doesn't really look like it. Oh, there we go. Kick me low. Yeah, let's take these. How's this setting change? Ooh, a little grainy. Okay. Is it smoother though? Not really. Try this one. And save these. And we'll see if this is any smoother for the encoding. Being calm. That's almost like a currency these days. I mean, being focused, and being patient, being organized. That's a kind of mythos. Unless you have wrangled within yourself the importance of why you would want to be calm, it's probably not a state that you often experience. Because it's very intentional. You have to work to be calm. You have to try to do something to make the world different than it is. So if you want things to be different, that's on you. And if things are going to stay the same, guess what? That came from your action or your inaction. I don't do this much. I don't just blast energy towards the internet much anymore. I was raised in a way where I saw that that was powerful and by some means very important, but over time I realized that it's not always, necessary. There's a lot of individuals who are kind of reckless with their energy, and digitally speaking, a responsible internet user is fairly unknown. Digital etiquette's a whole other topic. It's not like keeping your keyboard clean or making sure you scrub the gunk out of your computer mouse. But digital etiquette in that way is making sure that you're reading articles before you're sharing them. Making sure that you're stress testing the integrity of the information before you put it out there. And really what that boils away is any habitual behavior that says, I'm going to do this for no good reason. And when you choose to create an internet presence and digital hygiene and digital etiquette becomes the thing that you're aware of, well, you get to define what that means moving forward every day. So for myself, that means that if I'm talking to somebody digitally, I'm also talking to them in the real world. There may be, in some instances, a microphone, or in other instances, a keyboard. And the continuity between the utilization of that microphone or that keyboard and the consistency of the same dialogue, the same kind of communication, talking to understand, attempting to understand somebody, going out of your way to not misunderstand, but listen with this like grain of salt in your ear that says, I know English is tricky, and I know we all have our own ways of expressing it, so I'm going to listen to what you're saying with a mind to understand what you may mean behind those words. Rather than when people listen to words and they believe that unless you say these exact words, you are not communicating the way I want you to. Authenticity is something that I've been finding consistently knows itself. Authentic behavior knows authentic behavior. Just as chaotic or shisty behavior knows chaotic or shisty behavior. They're interconnected and correlated by some counts and some measures. In order for, and the only way, things change in the better direction is when someone decides what better might look like, and then they go out of their way to do the things to bring that betterment into isness. As much as it would be like novel or convenient or even preferred by some accounts that some messiah or some savior or somebody in the path shows up and all the bad things are gone, and all the difficult parts are burned away and incinerated, and what is left is only this wonderful little jelly pile of goodness. I don't really know if that's the way it goes. So I'm noticing a little bit more herky-jerky bits. Let's see if I can remove some of the workload here. Give the computer box a little bit more calm. So, see if that modification does much. I'm aware by the very nature of what's going on now that if the system continues to lag and these technical pieces don't climb into harmony, then it may be wisest for me to just forego this broadcast and continue sharing at another time when the technology is a little more cooperative. But, alright. I'll give that a moment or two to breathe. Seems like I may have repaired the resolution settings. So I'll wait for the stream buffer to catch up. If it's been kind of herky-jerky for you so far, I truly am sorry. And it should now be much smoother. So we're going to take a little bit of a break here. If you're just joining, hello. If you've been here the whole time, well, golly gosh darn. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate the time and attention and energy that is being shared. And after a couple minutes here, I'll play a little bit of a flute song that you may have heard earlier. We'll dive back in and keep going for a while. So gratitude, and remember to breathe. Talk to you again soon. Check, 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 check. All right. We're dialing that in. Does this work in the background there? Yeah, there's a little bit of that. Oof, not so loud. Sorry about that. Okay. Getting a level check. Getting things a little bit more dialed in. See, these are settings. Once I get them set, they're good. But until they're set, it's kind of a noodle. So I'm going to keep rolling through it. Appreciate you holding through the break. It's part of how we got in this cycle that we're in. As human beings, we have this tendency to want to trust other human beings. It's just like kind of built into how we are, how we function. As people, we have this sort of trust circuitry. But why I bring that up is we have this trust circuitry that says more on after the break. And so we're used to this kind of idea that says the conclusion I'm seeking is incoming as long as I tolerate this in-between state. And whether or not that was a clever way to sell commercials, or whether or not that was a required form for the art of broadcast to take, where in which it was still mainly upkept by corporate interests, who knows? But right now we live in a world where everybody is their own producer. You can produce anything. And simultaneously, everybody is their own director. So you also kind of have to decide what the direction is. You don't just get to produce and have somebody else figure out the plot. As we live our lives, we design the plot and we create the worlds that we want by the things that we do. Right now, the biggest issue seems to be one of generating a language that is reinforcing of the basic concept of trust. Our language has been borrowed, infiltrated, and co-opted by individuals and interests that prioritize transactional and exchange-based relations rather than ones of a grounded and holistic approach where there is required to be a sense of I am giving without an expectation to receive. Because that will grow over time into a common dialogue that says that I know how much I have to give and will give freely from my heart. Once you have a common dialogue that says that all of the excess and abundance is shared, what that equates to is individuals no longer have to struggle to define how much each of their actions are worth when compared to how much they think they need to be worth to fit into a society. Everyone has their base requirements for life. These are food, water, shelter. Things that everyone needs. Some people believe that they have to have their coffee. Some people believe they have to have their tea. A lot of individuals think that there's a lot of things that are required that maybe not. So this is check 1 2, getting that volume up. It's probably about as loud as I'm going to push it. If I go too much higher than that, I could break the system. But yes, I'm more than happy to turn up the volume. No worries. Wouldn't it be neat if we could talk to our celebrities and the heroes in our life with that same kind of candor that says, hey, can you make this adjustment for me? Can you, hey you, stop playing bad guys. Could you play some good guys? Or hey you, you're always playing good guys. Could you play a bad guy sometime? I wonder how that would affect and inform our minds, which are mostly influenced by the gladiators or the Hollywood characters that are reinforced consistently through our cultural mediums. I mean, if you're lucky and if you're blessed, you've got some heroes in your life. You've got some people that you would count as your personal Mount Rushmore, perhaps. Or that, what is that movie? Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants? There's that concept that there's individuals in your clique, people who have your interest in alignment with their interest. And it's not a transactional or exchange-based thing. So again, to recap what I was talking about while the mic was a little bit low, after the first break where we had the opportunity, whistle sound, had the opportunity to groove past getting all this dialed in for resolution, removing the exterior gunk that kind of slowed down the signal. It's a generative task of creating a language of trust. That's really it. Because if you have a language of trust with yourself that says, these are my gifts, this is my abundance, and I can give this much freely with no expectation to return. Everybody does that in a group, and everybody is giving each other what they need to move forward. And the moment somebody needs something, the idea of guilt or shame or sorrow or pain has a wide berth beyond the idea of asking for what is needed, because you see people giving so freely and sharing so openly. I think it's really curious how we measure, and again, this is from the early part, so I'm still going to work with the recording and finesse the bubbles out so we can get this for the sharing appropriately. Isn't it strange, and I think it's really, really odd, how we measure time for our months from the sun on a solar calendar, and yet most of the time individuals have more of an idea of what face of the moon is facing the earth than what face of the sun is facing the earth. You'd think that because we use months to measure time, that we would be familiar with when it's different sides of the sun. But we only really... Oh, hi again, Kisan. Come here, bud. You want to share something? Yes, dude. Hi. Yes, see? I don't let you on the internet very much. It's a dangerous place for little cats like you. You can just wander around for hours and watch videos of other cats doing silly stuff. And, goodness gracious. We're all kind of deciding what we want the world to become by how we inform the people and things that we share it with. It's that kind of deep calls to deep. It's when you understand really, truly, and deeply, fully, and completely, as best as anyone can, that it's not really a conversation of what happened, ever. It's a conversation about what was remembered and what the results were. A lot of us are paralyzed by our fears or expectations. Bye, bud. A lot of individuals are, what's the opposite of paralyzed? Like, maybe anxious or jittery or overacting, always trying to do things and not really slowing down. Like any good symphony or any good piece of music, you need the notes and you need the rests. There needs to be a harmony between the silence and the sound. Otherwise, is it really organized? Because really, music could just be seen as organized sound. I remember when I was a kid and somebody told me music was math, and I didn't believe them. And I really strictly did not believe them and had absolutely no idea why someone would say music is math. Like, yeah, okay, there was like quarter notes and half notes and like a scale of things. It wasn't until much, much later that I was trying to speak with someone who was classically trained in music about the idea of why the music I listened to was very unusual. It had strange time signatures or was very fast tempo as compared to what they were used to hearing. And the conversation of, well, to you, is fast. But to me, that's doom, ka, doom, ka, with some diggy in the middle. So it becomes doom, ka, diggy doom, ka, diggy doom, ka, diggy doom, ka. And it's just listening to it in a half time. And perceiving things in a limitation. I'm going to take a couple jumps here. I'm going to glide in the fact that music and limitation creates our experience. I'm going to slide over to the part that it's one of the most sacred things is to go to a concert or play the guitar or piano for someone or share a song and sing it from your heart. And I'm going to slide even further and say that now, right now, through this digital light box, I'm communicating a message telepathically, digitally, audibly, orally, vocabularistically. Through that kind of emission of energy, whoever receives this, whoever's watching this on a screen or happens to hear the sound of this voice that's doing the sharing, they have an option to grow. And I'm seeing that there's a lot of young people who they're always eating this light. They're always just inhaling this, which I understand. I do. I remember I had a little Game Boy. It wasn't backlit, but like I had a Game Boy. And I play on that dot matrix dark green screen. Move a little Kirby or Samus or Mario. I identified with the simulation inside of that small box and the Pokemon. Dun, 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 dun. That's Tetris. Dun, 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 dun. And one of the Pokemon villages has a sound that's a lot like Tetris, and I remember when I was a kid, I listened to it for a really long time because I played it way longer than I really should have, and then the whole next day, like, it was in my head, and I was just like walking around school being like, I hear Pokemon music in my head. And you're like, whoa, was a system shock. And I had to figure out how to take control of the things that would get stuck in my head as best I could. So the behaviors that were installed initially through my growing as going to church, spending time with family, having the experience of evolving as a person, became creating a sacred space and communicating with human beings compassionately, and living and growing through time, because time is what we swim through. Stillness is great. This is a bit of an active broadcast because my brain personally is functioning on the level of making sure this output channel of also, the administrator has to look at, all right, this is the thing that's doing the video hosting, and then this is where the people would be commenting further if there's any chat notes made involved. So being able to keep that alive is kind of spinning two plates together. Now, a lot of us are deciding that we want to spin all the plates of our life all by ourselves, which, like, cool. If that's what you want to do, go ahead. But it's kind of like planning a picnic by yourself. I mean, here I've brought the blanket. Right now, it's kind of like some space-ish background. And I've got, like, the food. I'm going to use the metaphor of some of the books and for the knowledge and the ideas that are being presented herefor to with, as well as the concepts of any of these silly ideas that I'm... I hear what you're saying. Or, what? Nah, that's preposterous. So, while I brought this container and I'm sharing this energy with individuals who are looking for it, I think it's important to define and really dial in what people are looking for. So it looks like I'm getting another stall delay. It may just be resolution setting. Yeah, I think this is now due time to dial up the next levels of this broadcast level. Last adjustment. Woo! There, I'm on a little bitty screen. I'll move this one up here and scale it a little bit. Hey, Kison. How are you doing, little man? Come here again. Oh, hi. Okay. It's the internet, bud. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You don't get an Instagram account? Not allowed. You don't need to be online going through all that stuff, huh? You don't need a Facebook public figure profile. You get all the attention you need, dude. You get the good things. And the mango. I'll get you more of that in a few minutes. Okay, so let's see if we can recap what we've covered so far. 1, we've recapped that the Restream.io platform is consistent for busing this video signal to multiple places, and also that working inside of the OBS software with the current camera that I have is causing some resolution glitches. That's a buffer stack overflow, which I can resolve by adjusting the hardware that I'm using. So this has been pretty educational because for the Zoom calls and Zoom meetings I do on a regular basis, the camera's not too bad. But yeah, I'm seeing it now and it's jerky. So I'll make it through that. I hope that you will too. We'll find a way to make it more bearable. But in this direction, I'm going to recommend that as the moon prepares to enter its new house, we take a second and really appreciate the sun for what it is. The sunshine's light is, by some accounts, septic. And that septicness, or septic energy, would be its yellowish, reddish color. And the fact that it creates and stimulates life. In some forms it creates bacteria, and it destroys things that don't have enough moisture in them, so like the sun can burn and crunchy stuff up. But the other side of that is the lunar energy. That's a specific balance of antiseptic energy that can grow very special things, however, is nowhere near as intense in the same way. So I'm going to call that a closing tide. We got the October 30th test broadcast, getting things dialed in. It's a little glitchy. The volume's a little low. I hear you. I'm working on it. I appreciate you taking the time to connect in. If you have an opportunity, please feel free to visit me at rainbowcrystal.org. That's my hangout space. I've also got a couple other things. Got a link tree. Got an Imaginot project webpage that's on Discord. We're on the Telegram groups. If you want to talk with me regularly, go ahead and get yourself on the Telegram app and reach out, because I'm on that all the time, and that's how I keep up with my people. So beyond any other messaging service, beyond any other telepathic mind-reading sharing of thoughts through time and space service, and beyond any remote viewing and astral projection and evolution of self, I look forward to the next time where in which I will be able to share time and space with the ideas and the concepts, and remember we're all connected, because like this air we're breathing, this organism, we share the air element. There's a lungful of air in me, and then that same lungful of air is going to go to other people in other ways. So when I say remember to breathe, I'm trying to be like, hey, remember to accept that fresh new oxygen. Please remember to connect with that awesome new idea. And if you have an opportunity to choose a new one from the limbs, and you're going out on the same limb over and over, maybe try a different limb and see where it takes you. And that being said, I appreciate your time and attention, and you as well, in Lachesh, or in Lachek, which would be I am another yourself. I look forward to sharing this time space again soon. Until then, take care, drink water, eat good food, hug your people, give yourself some more love, and breathe.